Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. I'm Rochelle Batiste with the details. It is not so much that Labor Day has outlived its usefulness, but that the old modalities of commemorating Labor Day requires alteration. This is according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who on WeFM Issues at Hand program on Sunday said over the years circumstances have changed, including the political economy, the nature of the unions, the labor force, communication, and modes of organization.
And very critically, in the earlier period of great militancy around Labor Day, you didn't have collective bargaining accepted as widely as it is now. So there are a lot of collective bargaining agreements. You know, the union movement numerically is much stronger today than it was in, say, 2001. The increases in membership of CTAW, the Commercial, Technical and Allied Workers Union, and also of the National Workers Movement is much more than in 2001. And they have collective bargaining agreements with several institutions across the board, including with banks. And of course, Cable and Wireless had always been unionized by CTAW, and Vinlec is unionized by the National Workers Movement, and so on and so forth. The public sector unions, in the case of the teachers' union, the numbers have either slightly fallen or stagnate. Part of the reason for the stagnation or decline has to do with the fact that the union has by and large been a primary school organization. And because of the education revolution and the fall, despite you have because you have the education revolution and the increase in numbers of students going to secondary school, and at the same time the reduction of number of students going to the primary school because of the fall in birth rate, you have a number of teachers from the primary school teaching, as you know, are now teaching at secondary schools. You're with me?
Yes, yes.
And you know that the union has never been really very centered in secondary school.
In reference to the Public Service Union, which he said represents no more than 30% of actual public servants in the central government, the Prime Minister said it needs to examine itself, noting that the successes of the ULP government in providing a lot of benefits for public sector workers, including the reclassification and periodic wage increases, 100% mortgages, educational training, study leaves, and scholarships for tertiary education, have made some people feel very comfortable, which has not helped the unions and their leadership, which he said has gone political.
Argue, for instance, in the last general election, advised their members to vote the NDP when the bulk of the people in the public service and in the teachers union support the Unity Labour Party. You see where I'm coming from? And in any event, as I say, the old days of having thousands of people marching in the streets, that is not something that people are going to do on Labor Day. So you have to prepare a program which involves internal sessions online. You know what I mean, Pigeon?
Yes.
Different modalities of innovative things involving culture and sports and so on and so forth.
But I agree with you 100%, but my concern is that this year there's no acknowledgement whatsoever of the day from anyone.
Well, the point about it is this. I was coming to this. There is clearly a divide between the leaderships of the public sector unions and the rest of their membership, and also a divide between the public sector unions leadership and those in the CTAW and the National Workers Movement because of different approaches. So the Labour Congress is not functional. You see where I'm coming from?
Yes.
Now, my Cleve pointed out quite accurately. Remember November of 1975. It's a handful of people that you get who come out the teachers' protest. Now, if I believe that if the state gets very involved in promoting Labor Day, as we did at one time, the ULP administration, but when we are doing it, you gotta blow back and they said, well, the government shouldn't be involved in it. Leave the unions, and you leave the unions, and then some of them do nothing.
Noting that there seems to be a discord with the unions and their membership, the Prime Minister said the working people of the country, including union members, have made immense advances since the ULP took office in 2001.
You have a meeting for the leadership of the public sector unions, and you can't get 50 people good. 30 something, I think, is the quorum. You know what I mean? And when I'm amazed that when the teachers union has an online meeting, Pigeon, if they get 100, they celebrate, so they got a lot of people. No. People don't like when I talk uncomfortable truths. But I'm not talking the uncomfortable truths to pull down anything. I'm calling it because I'm interested to see the unions be stronger. But the unions, in being stronger, have to grasp this fundamental point. A union is both is a creature of the capitalist epoch in the evolution of a country's political economy, because it is under capitalism for the first time that you have a working class. Before that, you had slaves or you had serfs or villains. And unions come out from the working class. So that the union has an ambivalent position. Well, let me put it this way. A position which is lodged in a contradictory process. It is both a creature of capitalism, but it represents labor, which historically is opposed to capital.
The Prime Minister said where some of the public sector unions' leadership go wrong is that there are persons who seek their rights to leadership in a union as an opportunity to help change government.
Well, that is not the rule. You see the point I'm making? And I lodged that from how the process was there historically, as opposed to capital, and but it's a creature at the same time of capitalism. A union is not a political party, and I think that's what you talk about. Political unionism has been, you use the word dead, and I refine that. But you can't be seen as the head of a public sector union, or any union for that matter, that you are calling on the members to vote one side or the other. Different members will have different preferences, and that is their right. Mm-hmm. But from the time the union considers itself a political party or allied to a political party, a leader may be, but a leader can't call on its members to vote for one party or the other. It's going to lose membership, and it is going to isolate itself from its own members. In our context, in the modern context of competitive democracies.
And in his message to mark the occasion, Minister of Labour Subodha Sisa, who was out of state at the time, noted that challenges which the country faced in recent times, including the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the effects from the volcanic eruptions, which he said had significant impacts on the general economy and specifically the workforce. Sisa said the government remains resolute in its commitment to protect the rights and welfare of workers as they recognize the role that the workforce plays in the development of the nation, and that they are determined to create an environment that is conducive to the growth and well-being of all citizens. Noting that despite the challenges faced by both the private and public sectors, there has been an increase in construction activities such as the port expansion project and the construction of new hotels on mainland St. Vincent and in the Grenadines, leading to an increase in job opportunities. Caesar said the government intends to continue continue its dialogue with foreign entities to open the gateway for more skilled Vincentians to be gainfully employed abroad as the country actively participates in the global labor market. He said in the same light, the expanding blue economy will be attracting a cadre of skilled workers from the CARICOM region and internationally, and the country needs to ensure it has the requisite skill transfer to be able to harness the opportunities in fisheries sector, noting that the government has secured funding from the government of Taiwan to facilitate skill set training that will increase the employability of workers here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Labour Minister said additionally this year a new wages council was established with the mandate of ensuring that all workers are fairly compensated for their work, which is in keeping with the government's dedication to reducing poverty and advancing fairness in the labor market. According to Minister Caesar, they continue to enforce their commitment to achieving Goal 8 of the Sustainable Development Goal to promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth, employment, and decent work for all. He said looking ahead, the Department of Labor within the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Forestry, Rural Transformation and Industries intend to conduct another labor demand survey which will provide updated information on the changing needs of the labor market, which will help them formulate policies and programs that are responsive to those needs, and that the government also aims to strengthen the labor legislative framework to provide greater protection for employees. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is making it clear that he would not take any chance about any effects of wave action on Brighton Beach or at Argyle, where the current dredging process is taking place for material to use to fill the base of the modern port in capital Kingstown. Speaking on the matter on the WeFM Issues at Hand program on Sunday, the Prime Minister said they have proxy data from a Smith and Warner study done at the time of the construction of the Argyle International Airport, but the government was not satisfied that this data should be used. Instead, a request was made for the use of actual data, to which it was agreed upon that a construction firm for the port project, Aiken Construction, paid for a bathymetric study which shows that there is no coral in the area where the dredging will take place, which means there will be no fishing ground, which he said satisfy the issue of livelihoods and that it will not be affected by the dredging process. Despite this, PM Gonsalves said that the government still intends to provide some support for fishermen and women at Calico and at Shipping Bay.
So having been so satisfied on those two things, which we had some prolonged discussions with the various officials in the state administration, the project implementation units, and Aecon Construction out of Canada, the construction company. I wanted to be sure, doubly sure. And when that information, that data, that expertise came in, and when I was given all the requisite advice by our own local experts, and we set up a committee in that regard, and the information was being disseminated on an ongoing basis as the process was going forth. John, you remember several months ago, I was on your program, and I said, as of that particular hour, that if I were to advise, I will not advise the cabinet to say yes, because I'm not satisfied with the completeness of the data in relation to a couple of matters. You remember that?
Yes.
And we are satisfied, and I am satisfied. And then the outstanding issue would have been how much this material would cost, with value. And they started at $1 million. This is where I proffered the view when they said $1 million. I asked them if they were familiar with the word kunumunu, which means I was taken aback by that divisive offer. And through stages, we reached to 20 million. And that's what we agreed on. In fact, 5 million of that money has already been paid. It's paid in on Friday, as per the agreement. Another 5 million will be paid by Friday coming. And the other 10 million within 30 days of next week Friday. That means by the 4th, 5th of June, all the money should be paid.
During an appearance on the API's morning SVG program on April 24th, PM Gonzalez said 1.17 million cubic meters of sand will be dredged to fill 16 acres of reclaimed land at the port project site in Kingstown. He said the experts have advised that over 10 million cubic meters of material is deposited in the area between Argyle and Brighton, with the dredging expected to take place over a 7-week period, some 750 meters from the shoreline in the identified areas. He reiterated this on Sunday on WFM.
And what they're doing, they're scraping off on the top over a particular area. And they're not going below 2 meters. And all of this thing is being monitored by our people. There's scientific data on the vessel, plus, of course, physical presence of our people. So they can't go outside of the area which they have demarcated, and they can't take more than the quantities. If they have to take more than the quantities of 1.17 million cubic meters, they have to come back to us. You understand what I'm saying?
Of course, you do.
So those just taking essentially about 1/10 of the top, no deeper than 2 meters, not going to have any appreciable impact on any wave action. Of course, if you have hurricane and storm, the wave action would be there in the normal way now, but not as a consequence of the dredging. Those are the naked facts. We had taken out fishermen, that is to say our project implementation unit, which incidentally is headed by Laura Anthony Brown. And we had people go on the vessel with the fisher folk and our own people and ACON. And you got inchoate responses from some of the fishermen. But the science points that is, as you say, Cecil, that individuals fishermen who told you that is not going to have an impact. That is the consensus that we have gathered, in fact, near unanimity. And the science supports that. The science is clear on that.
The Port Modernization Project is the second largest capital project in the country's history, being done at a cost of 620 million EC dollars. The project formed part of the government's urban development project, which includes the rehabilitation of Little Tokyo. In other news now, we hear that a vehicle transporting several passengers went over an embankment in the South Leeward area of Pembroke last evening around 9 p.m. According to reports, the fire department of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force and other first responders assisted to get the passengers and driver out of the vehicle to safety. In an interview with SVGTV News today, Randolph Small, who is in charge of the lands where the vehicle went over, advised motorists to exercise caution on the main highway.
Well, my advice as a driver, I get into accident myself before already, but I'm taking caution right now because I'm a family man, and this special area knows about a lot of accident goes on this area because I work with the owner of the properties around the Pembroke area. And what I advise the drivers as myself to have caution on the road entering towards the Pembroke area. Because this area, I know to myself that a lot of accident goes on here. This is where the gentleman from Cleverly, the young college guy, did get into the accident and he did die here. And a few months back, the vehicle goes over the same area. So I'm asking for caution around the area.
And an investigation has been launched into the circumstances surrounding the death of Jomani Charles, a 27-year-old resident of Longwall, which occurred on Sunday, April 30th, 2023. The RSVG police force in a news release said, acting on information received, officers from the Major Crimes Unit went to the deceased residence and found him lifeless with what appeared to be multiple gunshot wounds about his body. A post-mortem examination is expected to be carried out on the body to ascertain the cause of death. Police are appealing to members of the public with information that can aid with this investigation to contact the officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department or the Major Crimes Unit at telephone number 1784-4561-810 or 1784-4571-211, extension 4837 or 4839. In more police news now, we hear that on Saturday, April 29, 2023, Andy Charles, a 43-year-old resident of Walvero, Sign Hill, was arrested and charged with possession of an unlicensed firearm and ammunition. The police say Charles was met by officers attached to the narcotics unit with 1 revolver and 6 rounds of ammunition without a license issued under the Firearms Act. He is expected to appear before the Serious Offences Court to answer to the charges. With this month being observed as Child's Month, Minister of Education Curtis King, in a message to mark the start of the month-long celebrations, highlighted the importance of caring for the nation's children. Minister King said that officials of the ministry, parents, teachers, and other stakeholders have been working diligently to ensure the nation's children are well taken care of.
And officials of the Ministry of Education have been working diligently to ensure that our children are well cared for in all aspects of their lives. We are filled with profound gratitude to you, our teachers, for your invaluable contribution towards the holistic development of our children. According to research, few factors in education have a greater impact on a student's educational experiences than a caring relationship with his or her teachers. We recently asked the following question of some of our primary and secondary school students. How do you know that your teachers care for you? These were some of the responses. They help us with our schoolwork when we don't understand. Sometimes when I cry, she feels sorry for me. She hugs me and I feel better. If I don't.
The celebrations for Child's Month 2023 will be held under the theme We Care, Embrace the Vision, Empower the Nation. Minister King said that for the month, extra focus will be placed on children,
who, according to the United Nations, are persons between the ages of 0 to 18 years. This year, as we celebrate with our children under the theme We Care, Embrace the Vision, Empower the Nation, let us truly commit ourselves to co-regulate, analyze, redirect, and educate our nation's children. The United Nations Declaration on the Rights of the Child firmly states that mankind owes to the child the best it has to give. Indeed, humans are living beings who are blessed with the quality of helping others. This quality is called caring. It is an act of humanity that spreads happiness and kindness. Caring is a gift no one can buy. It is love that is rooted in our hearts and creates memories for a lifetime.
And the Gummi Methodist School reopened as improved library today under the theme Knowledge is a Seed That Grows When You Read. The library consists of a reading area, mathematics area, bookshelves with a different variety of books, a sick bay, and counseling room. The library was funded and supported by the Kumekla Tidings Tabernacle, Hands Across the Sea, Corey's Hazels Inc., the Ministry of Education, and other partners. 7 student librarians were also trained during the process and today received their certificates. Principal of the school, Sheridan Edwards, said she has been looking forward to the opening of the library.
Every time we tried to get it started, there was always a deterrent. There was always, we didn't have enough training, we didn't have enough help. It was always something that kept the library from opening. I am so happy today because we are able to reopen our library at the Gourmet Methodist School. I'm passionate to see literacy improve at our school. Over the years, I have heard that Gourmet has been doing well, and we can attest to that because we have our past student here, and I know she would have been one of the high flyers, and she has done well, and it has been a culture that Gourmet excels. But over the years, we have seen a decrease. But we are hoping that with the reopening of our library, the literacy at Gourmet Methodist School will be improved.
Referring to research done, the principal noted that there is a twin for success between reading and having a good library program, and that with the reopening of the school's library, it will see more independent reading.
We are not seeing as much of reading at the independent level as the upper school. So I am so happy to know that our school would be definitely benefiting because we have lots of books there, lots of resources there for both teachers and students, and we will definitely see a result coming out from the reopening of our library. And we can make a promise here that this reopening will be sustained. It will be sustained because we want to see an improvement in literacy in our school. From our national diagnostic tests, we would have seen where our literacy has some dent. And we are saying if we can really expose in our school a culture of reading among the children, we should have better results.
Meanwhile, the school's English teacher said that the reopening of the library today is to ensure that the school has a 100% literate population.
In February, we had our annual literacy week, and we don't want our students to just be reading or using the library only when literacy week comes around. We want to ensure that we are always reading, that while we read, we are improving our comprehension skills, our spelling skills, our vocabulary skills, and in general, our communication skills. So hence, we saw the need to get our line, because it used to be up and running before. So we saw the need to get it back in motion to ensure that we all could be literate.
And head bishop of the Glad Tidings Tabernacle, Gourmet Bishop Sonny Williams, who supported the initiative of the new library at the Gourmet Methodist School, has pledged his continued support to the school. Bishop Williams further encouraged the students to use the library to develop their literacy skills.
The investment somehow or the other was protected, and I am so glad now that there is a relaunch, that what was invested is going to be now fully utilized. So congratulations, principal and staff of the school, and I hope that you are going to make full use of it. But let me just say about the partnership between Glad Tidings Tabernacle and this school and the other schools in our area, that we have kind of owned them, that we work in this area. So in whatever way we can assist the school, and the offer is for this school. We used to have a preschool, but the preschool is not, we closed the preschool, but we have a fantastic playground still there, and the school is invited to use it, your kindergarten and your grade 1. We don't want the big children, they're too heavy and all of that.
And the Hands Across the Seas organization also donated books to the library. Representative Ina Bullock encouraged the students to read the books provided to them.
The process operates in 6 Caribbean islands. And I tell you, the other islands have taken off at great speed. We are trying to catch up, but we are faced with a number of difficulties where the library program is concerned. But nonetheless, Mrs. Pompey and I, we are working tirelessly with school principals to see if we can have these libraries up and running and fully functional. Now, libraries are not just a place to store books. And I want you to mark what I am saying. It is a place where children learn to explore. Can you say that word for me? Explore. It's a place where children learn to explore and imagine a world beyond their own. So students, when you get into the library, you can be taken to different worlds. You can be in a world of imagination. And this is where you can learn of a number of places where you will never be able to travel to. So we can go to many places through the reading that we undertake in the school library.
Some of the students of the school show off their literacy skills during today's ceremony.
Our library is special. It's organized and neat. Pick a book to read and have yourself a seat. Choose a spot that's comfortable and you can simply read. Enjoy your book, take your time, don't read for speed. Work on fluency, gain meaning from your text. When you are finished, you know what to do next. Put your book away in the proper place. Keep our library clean. It's our favorite space. And as a lazy bed, why it was in the habit of slaying its bed all day. The bear said that every morning when it woke up, there were 2 creatures standing next to it. And I stand so tall. Great big branches and little branches small. When the wind blows left or the wind blows right, I am full reading. My mom is walking. When I school, my mom is Open a book and you will find people and places of every kind. Open a book and you can do anything you want to do. Open a book and you can share one dress or different in there.